بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام
In the name of God, the most gracious, the most beneficent, welcome to this session for the third day and the final session for the sustainability of the business enterprises. I am Dr. Dalal Al-Rubaishi at the Princess Noor bin Abdul Rahman University. I'm very much delighted to moderate this session about the sustainability of the business enterprises. I would like to welcome all the people watching, listening, and joining and participating with us. Today's in this session, we'll be speaking about dealing with the family conflict to better ensure business sustainability. In this session, the two speakers will shed a fresh light on the most important conflicts sustained and faced by the family businesses and the most important or notorious conflicts and disputes and how to settle and solve these kind of conflicts and disputes and what are the conditions to be met and addressed for the business, for the family businesses. Before we kick off, I have this agenda to be reviewed before. Generally speaking, it'll be for about 90 minutes. We have like 5-minute introduction. After that, of course, Dr. Adli Al-Hamad will be speaking for about 40 minutes about dealing with the family conflict to ensure business sustainability for about 40 minutes. The next, of course, the next part will be about 25 minutes. He will be speaking, of course, about the discussion panel. And then, of course, we will have a 15-minute room to open the floor for the public. So please kindly share your questions either through the scope or the way you like to receive the questions. After that, we will be having like 5-minute room for the recommendations. Now, introducing the two speakers, we are very much delighted to have Dr. Ali Al-Hamad to be a keynote speaker. He has a master's degree from Southern University in Texas, and he has a PhD from the International Islamic University in Malaysia. He has the PhD in the Islamic Fund. He worked previously as the legal advisor in Al-Hamad ever since 1984. In addition to his position, he also worked as a consultant across one of the most important family businesses across the country. He has such a great, extensive expertise in the legal consultancy and advice services in the family enterprises. And we are equally delighted and happy to have Mr. Fawaz Al-Ataybi. He is an engineer and he also works as a COO of the Oab holding company, and also he has a master's degree from Canada, and he is also a member of the associate engineer. He has a PhD, he has a bachelor degree in Beirut, the American University in Beirut, and he is such an active engineer and advocate for the family businesses across the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We kick off with the keynote speech. Dr. Ali Al-Hamad, please, the floor is yours. Thank you. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank Dr. Dalal for this nice introduction, and also would like to thank all the people, all the team members working to organize this conference. And this is part and parcel of the development of the family businesses and enhancing the work environment and sustainability. Someone might say, like as an introduction, like is it necessary for a legal advisor or attorney to be engaged or involved in the family business? Some people look at us as a negative point and some others as opposite point. And when a lawyer or a legal advisor is involved or engaged, it means that things will be negative, or some others say positive. So so he or she has two roles. One is like preventive, protective, how a lawyer can be protective and how to develop the issues in the business, in the family businesses, and how to cite some good examples and how the disputes or conflicts can help a lot of great value, of course, attractive as is for long period of time with such great efforts So please, we kick off. I mean, we need to start presenting the presentation. Is it? Can I do it from my side?
طيب بسم الله.
Okay, we'll start.
نعم.
All right. So the family businesses, given the different changes, whether internally or externally, are always experiencing amid different challenges. So the family business is really a core economy, supporting a lot the national economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It is such a youth and economy of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, well supported by the different family businesses. And also, you know that the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is going through a transformational across the different generations. More than 50 to 60 family businesses are going into this kind of transformational stage, and we have seen different examples. So it is natural that we have different age groups, different generations, different interests, different expertise, which of course leads to different opinions. The question is it positive or negative when we look at this one? So we'll be looking at this and we'll address this issue. The other point that I would like to shed a fresh light is that when a family business has different, it is healthy. So I might have like difference with my partners, but at the end of the day, we don't have like just to. So the difference is when I have differences with my younger or older brother or my cousins, it means that we will have more family gatherings or meetings, and we will have more friendly meetings or gatherings. So these kind of meetings or gatherings will be supporting the family business. So when I have problems with my brother, how is it like I will be within the same family? This kind of disturbance within the same family between the older and the younger brothers, and those who don't know anything and those who do know everything, this helps to create and widen the gap between the brothers and the sisters. So we'll be speaking about three foci. First of all, the reasons. The second one is the manifestations and examples, telling examples by some cases or the drawn from some cases to see some good examples, reasons, and how the Saudi judiciary, of course, approach this, such as like Chamber of Commerce and other entities and bodies, and the impact brought about on the family. The first one, which is the intellectual or the ideological differences across the different generations. It could be positive, it could be negative. All the generations who study abroad and gained a lot of knowledge from like the administration related theories, such as like governance, management, also the management-based engineering. So it is like they don't like the traditional approach, because at the end of the day they have gained more knowledge. So they might not be as resilient as such to adopt the traditional approach or approaches, and they might look at this as kind of shackles that cannot be easily dealt with. So for example, when one of the members of the new generations telling his older brother said that we need to put a governance, he said that we are making such a profits, we don't have to put this kind of governance for the family business. Why? Well, simply because that the governance rules will help them a lot. Who is in this case is more eligible for the management of the family business? Is it the expertise or is it the discipline and specialization? Well, our own convention, as you know, that the family business should be run and managed by the founder, by the older brother, while like younger brothers can support, like, and gives their opinions, but at the end of the day they cannot be the leaders of the family business. So when there is a lack of the principles, rules, who is the alternative, who is the leader, who is the successor, these are the points that might trigger any kind of conflicts. It is always the position that leads conflicts, that brings about conflicts, disputes. So the oldest brother is given all the powers, all the authorities. So So the board of directors, unfortunately, are marginalized when it comes to the family business, and the decisions are made individually, and you cannot see like these kind of meetings that support, and even you cannot see minutes of meetings to support decision making. We have been working closely with different family businesses, and you see like they spend the money without any kind of meeting minutes. To spend the money without even without reading without reading the budget. So it is very important to have the meeting minutes, which of course recommended that the budget should be adopted. So all these issues are still lagging behind. It is very important that the family business, most of the family businesses are still conventionally or traditionally managed or run. As long as we are brothers, sister, cousins, it could be like agreement or implicit agreement. You feel they are very safe, and they see that any kind of shackles, any kind of restrictions or limitations imposed by the laws, they feel that this is kind of restrictions or limits, or some refer to as golden restrictions. When you bring him or this kind of governance, it means that you want me, you want to shackle me, you want to put these shackles in my hands. And the other one said, no, I don't want to put any kind of shackles. I'm putting you through a track that you don't have to be derailed or to get off track. No, it is not good to be always frozen, because life is always changing, is ever changing, and also you keep changing the family business. So the wheel of time, the wheel of change, the wheel of everything after that, of course, I just remain a rail station, a rail, not just a station, and you are the train. That is why you have to keep the business always running, going. While if you don't want to do with this kind of governance, it is very much like a little boat that is being riddled with different holes or different gaps that can be thrown at any time at the middle of the rough sea. So any family members have a phenomenon known as the lack of or non-accountability problems. Why? Well, simply because he at the same time is a shareholder and a partner. He's a member of the board of directors, and sometimes he is the chair of the board of directors, and he might or she might be the CEO of the family business or the managing director of a certain sector, such as the real estate or investments, or name it the way you like. Equally important, he is one of the family members. So when he is on board of all different levels or different sectors like management, partnerships, and so you feel that he is how he can be accountable. It is well known that in management that they should be, management is best looked at through different layers, different levels. So he should be accountable in front of himself, and he will find himself that no one will supervise him. No one can supervise him, and in different family businesses that the associations of the shareholders do not have regular meetings. If any, it will be like very much formal, no kind of discussions or deliberations, or no kind of holding him accountable. And many family businesses do not give the shareholders any kind of financial statements, and they don't know anything about this, so he cannot be held accountable. So that is why being accountable is no longer efficient. Then the presidency of this person for the board of directors and being in control of everything makes him always in the leader of the decision making, which means that the decisions are made by him and are implemented by him and supervised by no one him, and he also goes beyond his powers, beyond his authorities, simply because he is assuming the positions and he is going beyond the authorities or powers, speaking of legality, speaking of financial issues, and also some others try to avoid it. So this kind of overlapping relationship between commerce, investments, management is a reason that is a main reason for the different conflicts. So as we've seen in the first generation, there is no kind of position or employment or position or the responsibilities are not well identified or what defined. It's like a lack of matrix. Yes, I am part of the family. I am a member of the family, but at the end of the day, they should know that do not have absolute powers or authorities, and they should know that they can be at any time accountable. I need, for example, to set the roles and responsibilities of the family members. And so I should understand my authorities, my powers. Should I, for example, sign any contract or any agreement? No, of course, when the family business has this kind of high level of governance and have a high level of charters or constitutions, well understand that he can, of course, sign a contract or an agreement once he has the powers. He can do so, for example, individually, sign a contract or an agreement, for example, if it goes up to 10 millions or 15 millions or whatever it be. So the higher the amount of money of the agreement, the higher of the number of the signees needs to be involved when it comes to signing the agreement or the contract. There is one little problem. I don't want to blame some agencies or some entities or bodies. As legal advisors, we always get in trouble. For example, when I have like a contract or agreement of the establishment of the family business, say, and I come to an article, the powers and authorities of the board of directors or the chairman of the board of directors, do I have to confine myself only to look into the general authorities or powers, or do I have to give more detail? For example, do I have to explain everything relating to, for example, the recruitment office or the communications company? So yes, I need to provide more details. That is why you see the powers and authorities of the chairman of the board of directors, 6-7 pages. Yeah, of course, they should be well detailed, well explained, and there should be a well connection or good connections between their relationship. If these powers authorities are well used, that is good. But if not, then in this case, of course, a lot of problems might crop up, might arise at any time, because the governance or the agreements itself gave the powers and authorities to this leaders or this CEO. That is why the partners of the family business should create or should develop these kind of provisions or bylaws so that the powers and authorities can be well organized, well identified, and when, for example, he or she should take the powers and authorities, or else, in this case, he has absolute authorities and powers. And as they said in the past, that absolute powers are destructive totally. And also it is very important that when he should consider himself whether he can do so or not when he is like in his 80s or 70s. But again, at the same time, this is not a real management. When is it time, or when is it high time that he should delegate the powers or the jobs? That is why sometimes he or she like keeps them or pushes them away, and he feels himself like alone there. Even like people working inside the family business, and we will see this in the next generation, that those who work inside the family business, those we call like the foundation generation, the older brother sees that he is the normal father or the normal leader, because he has been working with his father for about 40 years. And when the company was established, for like you've seen so many stories, like 10 millions, for example, been spent for the for the establishment of the company, for example, and he's been with his father ever since 1970s, and he invested in lands, real estate or properties. That is why he has become part and parcel of the founder or the founder. That is why he will see himself that he did contribute to the success of the family business, while his younger brother, he was still a little student and went to the States and brought his own degree, and he did nothing with his father. He was not involved with, and they start saying and start considering whether he is up to this or not up to this. This kind of time-based separation between the two different generations, the generation that established and the other one that didn't, of course, and the first generation will see that he has been with his father for 40 years, while the other generation who has brought a lot of ideas coming from abroad. That's why a lot of problems crop up or arise, because there was a time-based separation. And you hear so many people saying that I have been with my father or with the founder for 40 years, and I have been there, either that the authorities or powers be with him for a long time, or he will try, unfortunately, to take certain authorities, certain investments, certain real estates. Why? Because he would say that I've been working there for about 40 years and I can do this myself, and I would be one of the most important leading business people, but I spent my time to enhance the family business. In this case, of course, it is not appropriate that I should have the same powers authorities, because he will, I mean, the other younger brother will have the same almost shares. So that is why it is very important that the father or the founder should give him percentage of the should he give him more authorities? That is true. More powers? That's true. Or more like incentives, or some other fathers or founders give them like more 10% of the share or the dividends. And this is, of course, a place of dispute or a conflict. So if you give your sons more than others, even though if he does deserve it, this can open Pandora's box for them. And he has been using this like and this is not good, of course, to do so. I do
يريد أن يكافئ هذا الابن، يجعل له نسبة من الأرباح.
He should, yes, make like a percentage of profits, incentives, rewards, salaries, that those who work without any kind of salaries, at the end of the day, they will take like a high percentage of share of the company. I have seen this, and it created real problems. So this is relating to the ideological or intellectual leadership or management, and the differences in the generations. And the second one, which might be implicit, we are Muslim community or society governed by traditions and conventions that are good, and we also our reasons are implicit, and like, for example, seeking or requesting our own profits or financial statement is a kind of eroding or shaking the confidence or the trust in my brother or my father. He might understand me that I do mistrust him, and also these kind of questions might like create problems in confidence and trust. At the end of the day, I am a human being and I feel afraid of my profits. And when the next generation comes, for example, and say like, my uncle does not show us any statements, any financial statements, and we don't know how this investment is going through. And for example, her education is not as high as such, while her sons or daughters, for example, might be highly educated, and they would say like, Mom, you don't know nothing about how the profits or investments is going on.
The non-existence of certain rules for dividend distribution, and that is an issue that causes much stress, because, as said, man is the enemy of what he cannot understand. If I don't know what the profits are, then any kind of information or any piece of information can misguide me. It can create question marks. Also, family businesses can be not committed to distributing dividends. Some companies have their own way of making dividends. They say to the partners that this is your monthly dividend, and in case you have
أنا ولدي
some
يبغى يتزوج، لو
circumstances
سمحت
in the
أعطيني
family,
مبلغ، طبعا حسب
okay,
حجم
brother,
العائلة.
my son wants to get married, can you give me some money? Depending on the size of family, the amount can differ, 1 million, 2 million. Maybe this year I want to travel, so I also need money. So in this case, the company cannot know how much profit it's making, and then there are more questions. Brothers and siblings could be asking each other, why are you taking this money?
الخلاف
Maybe you
حول
need it, maybe keep it in the company to make more money. So all those disputes about money, we have two options. We have either to eliminate or to set aside this partner, this family member, or in some cases this may cause problems, because this partner will know that they have a, a parcel of the company, but they are not getting as much, and we see that there are two kinds of partners: partners who want to enjoy and use the money, and partners who want to grow the business. So I guess we have covered the two main reasons for dispute: intellectual dispute and financial dispute. And later, when we talk about the concerns on which we'll take examples, I can elaborate. Do those disputes take different forms? Yes, they do. But some people do not recognize that. They think that their family is in its best form, and we should not link the company not making profit and the family issues not existing. Because if the company makes profit, that does not necessarily mean that the family relationships are going okay. We will see that when we have some changes in the behaviors of the partners. Some people are not visiting each other. Some people are not attending events organized by some other partners. Why is my uncle not visiting me? Was this person not attending the company meetings? We can observe those changes and know that there is an issue. Sometimes we may see someone attending family meetings but talking negatively about the company, saying that your projects are not very good. There are problems A and B in the company. Some people carry negative feelings and negative talks in their attendance, and we should be careful of this, and we should know when it exists and when it happens. And as I have said, I don't want to focus. I don't want to focus on the female side, or I don't want to say that the female side carries more problems and issues. But let's just say that um, maybe females are more sensitive. If she talks to her brother, something could happen. If she talks to her husband, something could happen. If she gets her son as a partner in the company, maybe other partners will be upset. So the husband of this woman may not be allowed by the family to be contributing to the company, which is sometimes wrong. So there are those feelings with females which could later lead at an anger moment, which could lead at an anger moment to sudden surprising actions. I see also that the managements of financial companies, the managements of family businesses should always keep the partners updated, because we know that we may have only 6 to 7 partners, but behind that we have 60 to 70 family members, which are the offspring, the siblings, the cousins of those people. So I think we should have regular meetings to manifest and to describe what kind of ideas we're having and what kind of plans we have. Those meetings can be annual or biannual. They do exist, but currently I don't see that they are that effective. I think that they have some kind of beautiful external layer behind which there is more and it should be revealed. Hiding facts is an element that exists in family businesses. When there is an error or when there is a mistake or an undeclaration, this sometimes is hidden. Why should I tell partners that your company is successful? Maybe I want to just give you your money. Maybe I need confidentiality. Yes, that is okay. Confidentiality is okay, positivity is okay, but people should be updated and they should access the facts and they should know what's going on, because
قد يترجم هذا
all this could lead to the company failing in making its right decisions. These days we have seen the COVID-19 crisis, and we saw many companies having to make decisive decisions. Should I stay in this sector or should I leave to another one? Many companies were on the verge. Many companies had their own expenses and needed to take dangerous decisions critical decisions, and the boards not having early insights and not having common visions led to the growth of the issue and the crisis and dealing with it. So the board of directors and the board of partners should have the same common knowledge and should have some common insights and visions to be able to take a unified decision instead of working individually and running away and avoiding problems.
اتخاذ قرار معاكس يتحمل شخص واحد ولاحقا
Which sometimes can have and can lay the responsibility on someone individually and can lead to further developments and complications in court. Also, another problem, number 7, another form of dispute is the over courtesy and the mutual benefit between some people. We know that we should be cautious to each other and we should help each other, but if I'm gonna help my daughter, I should also help the other people. If I'm gonna hold other people accountable, I should hold my people accountable as well. So the family charter should exist and should have a mechanism,
ما هي الخبرات
procedure for who is to put in positions and who is qualified. Yesterday, Fawaz said that companies should care and should have their offspring work in psychology or sociology, because this is important for the bringing close the points of view and resolving disputes. Because yeah, that's true, when the company knows what the academic qualifications needed are, they can direct their next generation to study those academic disciplines and have qualifications in them. If we have courtesy in place A, that could lead to courtesy in place B in place B as a payback for what I have done to the other person. Excuse me for the word, but some cases are ridiculous, that some courtesy and some silly complications and conflicts can lead to questions such as who should have the big office, who should have the office looking over the sea. Those problems can later cause bigger problems. What are the results of this courtesy? It can cause bias. If we know that person A is the one who gives incentives and places the positions and gives rewards and dividends, maybe people will stay by this person's side and be biased to them just to have the benefits which they provide, and having the other people on the other side looking and seeming as the weak people or the people not following what is needed. Well, there was one company before on which there were 4 employees. 3 were on one side and 1 was on the other side, even though they were siblings. Though they were divided because each of the 2 groups wanted to stay at some person's side, which later led to the next generations and to the family meetings being distracted and being disturbed in terms of harmony, and later they had a 4-year legal conflict in courts. This is something we should take consideration of. Now, having talked about the reasons and forms, now we will talk about the types of disputes in family businesses. Those are the most common forms that we have seen in our experiences. As we have said, there is number 1, the financial dispute, the non-declaration of financial records, financial situations. This can sometimes be justified by confidentiality or other reasons, but we know that the draft of financial records should be distributed early, that is by law, and so In the least case, there should be an annual meeting which is to be organized by the chairman of the board of directors. In the next quarter, I have a financial record to release or to publish, and I have 2 months to make this invitation and then have a meeting and then publish the draft after I have seen and talked to people and have received their questions and answered them. Sometimes the company may be involved in a large investment, in a high risk investment. Why is there no report? Why is there no communication between the chairman of the board of directors and the board of partners? Sometimes some people with 50 or more percentage of the stocks have the right to attend the meetings and vote. And I've received information. If I have some information, I can go to this assembly and talk legally with the people and provide my insights. I can express my point of view. I can take the decision from the assembly. I can use my legal tools. The second reason is the mixing between business and family. As we all know, we're just one family and money is one money. Those are some things that family members say. Alhamdulillah, what we have seen so far is that people fear Allah and people are pious and they do take care of their business, but sometimes
قد يكون في السابق صعوبة تسجيل العقارات وبعض كتاب العدل
or the business and the personal procedures. We can see that someone wanted to buy a certain real estate in the name of the company because it's closer to the legal compliance, and then the Minister of Justice refuses that because the commercial activities of the company are not compliant with this real estate property, and then that could lead to someone else having the real estate property in their name, which leads to further complications.
في القوائم المالية للشركة، بينما الصك باسم الشخص المدير. فعندما يتوفى
when this person dies after they have bought the property in their names, we can see their offspring claiming that this was their property, or we can see that those people say, oh, it was bought with the company's money, though thus it's the company's property. Here we see divisions and we see different positions by courts. So we should be cautious in the first place and not do such actions. Sometimes we are obliged to do this by the prevailing circumstances. If we have to buy properties using the company's names, we have to sign a covenant
بحيث انه لا يصير خلاف.
stating this and stating that this is the company's money. But in some cases, we've seen disputes where the company's money was used someone else property and registering the title with their name, and then when the person died, their offspring said that this property is our father's, and when he died, it passed to us. It was passed to us, and so we just owe the company some money, but the property is ours. And I believe this mixing always leads to disputes and to misharmony and to disturbance in families. The third reason, this sometimes is imposed by the nature of some companies' activities, especially limited liability companies. This was before the Bankruptcy Act was issued. There was no procedure to resolve bankruptcy, and banks did not have many options to deal with the assets of companies,
الأصل عند البنوك هو أن
cover their loans, and they would, in the past, they would ask for personal guarantees or personal mortgage. That in the past was always a problem in family businesses because some people trust their brothers or the chairman, and then when they sign, after they sign, they realize that they are requested to pay largesse. They knew that
تلك علاقة أخرى أنت أصبحت كفيل.
that is because they have provided a mortgage regardless of the size of their portion of or their partnership in the company. Just because they have signed this mortgage, it means that they will take the responsibility for it, and they are demanded to pay the whole amount, or in some cases they are put on a travel ban. Sometimes even without mortgage, even without mortgage.
الإدارة بالاقتراض. لماذا تريد قرار من الشركاء؟ فأحيانا يتوقف توقيع عقد قرض مع البنك على موقفك مع شريك بسيط له 1% ولا 2%. إن لم يوقع على هذا القرار البنك يرفض تقديم القرض حتى لو كان لديك أصول عقارية.
Even if you have real estate assets or investment assets, that doesn't make you need personal skills from the partners. It just needs the signature of the chairman. The third reason that I have seen, and I believe this is a compliance issue, now banks want companies to provide them with annual copies of each employee's ID. I know that this can be requested when a bank account is opened. They will say, "Give me the establishing contract, and give me the ID cards." But every year, I should provide you a compliance document.
موقعا
If
عليها.
the partners that sit with the bank, they would not provide the compliance report, and they would not provide the IDs. So when issues as small as this happen, they could ignite large disputes which complicate the problems. This was on the banks dealing with people. Exit is something important. I will leave it later to the judiciary examples I will provide. Number 5 is the dispute on senior positions. Number 6 is the delay in providing the establishing contracts. Number 7, claims for dividend. The shade of the company being number 7, claims of dividends while a company wants to grow larger. We always have disputes in this area where people want either to receive their dividends and on the other hand having other people wanting to expand the company activities and to make the company grow.
And we have to strike a balance between the partners and the board of directors. Shall we move in quickly to the examples? Okay, we need to move on to the examples, please, if you allow me. I think there are two statistics. We need to jump. Okay. Oh, we need to go back, please. These are statistics that we have collected and culled from the records of the Ministry of Justice. You have seen that the number of the courts, the number of cases or lawsuits, say in 1,442 are about 6,365 cases. Some of 1,387 of which are family businesses, and also, and the number of the issues and number of the cases are 638 cases, and 50% of the cases are family business. It is a high percentage, you see. So if we go back to the overall, the overall also, the bankruptcy cases are about 227. And so the most of the big number is, as I said, is the family businesses. It's unfortunate to see this big number of family businesses at this high level. Please, Dr. Fava's yours. I would like also to cite some examples. These are two cases that are real, and I did follow up in my office. One of which, of course, was a family business that was established by their father, was there for about 60 years, and they have an exclusive agency of automobiles. It goes up to $1 billion. After the death of the father, the children, he was the oldest brother. He said that he was the one who deserves to have all the authorities and all the powers, and he has brothers and sisters, all educated, they have expertise, but he marginalized them, and they said that they are not up to this, and he didn't agree, that he wouldn't listen to their opinions or voices. And as long as you take your profit, you have to shut your mouth up and you don't have to say anything. So what happened? The next slide, please. They started to punishing them, for example, when it comes to the banking services. And as I said, they rejected signing, of course, on the guarantees, the financial guarantees. That is one way to punish their brother, because he didn't allow them to participate. Today, these facilitations, the importations of the cars from abroad, no longer in operation, and so the family businesses could not do anymore, and that is why it froze. And the business company, the businesses, of course, is no longer able to do so. The other company abroad also keep giving them warnings that you have to do something very important, so that we cannot take the agency from you. And then they started, the brothers started to ask him to share the dividends, and he said, no, I cannot do this, otherwise you need to sign the banking services. So who will sign? Should he share the dividends, or should they first sign the banking or the financial guarantees? What was the result? We will see this in the next slide. This kind of stubbornness led to what? That at the end of the day, that of course, they lost the agency, they lost the agency, the commercial agency, the auto car agency, the business, of course, went bankrupt, and that was of course, the result of the difference. The company was there for about 60 years, and they lost everything. So this is the first example. The second example, this is also a family business. Their father passed away, and he was, of course, such a leader in business, and he established this family business. and also he started a venture with other companies. He started, I mean, his sons and daughters started to expand this family business until they reached like tens of billions of riyals. And one of the sons of the second generation passed away. One of the brothers, sorry, passed away, and he left so many like children. And so his children felt that are not represented in the board of directors, that they said that, I mean, the uncle said that they are still underage, but well, still some of them are in their 30s, and they said that we were with our father and we know how things should be like, and they said that you are still juniors. Yes, you can take positions, you can take like positions in different, but not in the board of directors. Yes, your father was with me. He had a position or a member or a seat of the member of the board of directors. You can't take so, but the sons or the children, sorry, said no, we cannot. What was the result? Yes, of course, the family business came to a standstill. The facilitations with the banking services also came to a standstill, to an impasse, and 1 year, 2 years, their father passed away, 2 or 3 years. So the heirs, I mean, they ask for like the dividends. The uncle said, no, you have to come here and you have to come partners with us. Then I can like give you the dividends or your shares, the shares of your father. So who should do first? Is it like the dividends or to change or modify the agreement of the establishment? It is no, they got into they were brought to court and they said you have to modify or change the contract or the agreement of the establishment. The heirs started saying, no, we want our dividends. And some heirs no, they said neither dividends nor continuation. They want exit. They want to exit, and this, of course, and there is no kind of law that forced the heirs to be partners in the family business. And of course, and without any kind of putting preemption in force, they cannot do this, of course, such as like seeking preemption or to redeem their own dividends. So technically, or sorry, mechanically, of course, they will take their own dividends. So is there a law that forces them, the children, to be partners? And what if, for example, the children say that they need their dividends without being partners? No, there is no kind of law that forces them. So this conflict still there in the court for about 3 years. After that, the heirs felt that it is better to buy the shares of the heirs. Then they appointed an expert to assess the shares, but the shares were assessed, but the heirs were not satisfied with the assessment. So the conflict is still going on. So what is the position? What happened after the conflicts for 4 years? The company or the business was there for about 4 years because the agreement was not amended. For the dividends were no longer distributed and also the agreements, the activities, and also the different conflicts, the disputes say, no, I need to control the management until we protect our investment. So what is the result till now? As I said, that the family lost their own dividends, and they also lost the right to management. These two examples, among others, I wanted to summarize the conflicts, the reasons. It is true that judiciary is for justice, but it is a long one. It takes years. There might be solutions, and there might not be any solutions, because the law does not put any solutions for such kind of conflicts. Yeah, it could be like one reason to go to the judiciary. So should I keep silent, or should I keep my partners do the way he likes, or what? So no. So there might be like halfway solutions, and we've seen from the Ministry of Commerce today with this kind of activity, putting into action, activation, and it needs like more development. Thankfully, Of course, every human effort should be well developed and should enhance. But at the end of the day, it has become one way to raise and foster awareness and sensitize the partners of the family businesses before resorting to court or to judiciary after the COVID-19 pandemic. It has been, I mean, the hearing sessions like every 2-3 months, and also the lawsuits are not good, of course, to follow up, and you cannot find your own solutions. You cannot find your own solutions. Of course, it is very important to find solutions other than the judiciary. And also, I hope that the people working in the National Council or the National Center for the Family Business, they should be like other councils. I remember in the Chamber of Commerce, this committee for the reconciliation when it comes to the family businesses disputes and conflict, one done by Sheikh Saleh, and I hope that the center will adopt this kind of initiative, and when there is other centers that can help, particularly when it comes to the new law of the new corporate law, that there should be reconciliation platform or certification platform for the two partners. That I have to take like 2 steps. One, I should send him a warning, telling him or notifying him that you have to come and we can meet to solve and settle the disputes. Then if he refuses, I will come to the next one, which is the reconciliation platform, where the platform invites the two partners for settling the disputes. After that, of course, we go to the judiciary or to the court in front of the judge. So I hope that reconciliation, or as known as Taradi, a platform, will be such a tool to help solve and settle the disputes. It should have, of course, legal advisor, financial advisors, where they can accommodate the disputes, providing such problems or such families with solutions, better than going to the judiciary. Before I have a set of recommendations quickly. One, I recommend that the corporate law should be developed or should be amended, of course, with special thanks to the Ministry of Commerce. And I did annotate, of course, the law, and I did add lots of things. And I hope we have to take this into consideration. Until now, there is no clear-cut, of course, quota for this. Every partner should have the right to be represented in the board of directors when he has like 10%. Of course, in this case, there should be no conflict or disputes. Equally important, of the things that we have seen, that partnership is based on harmony and understanding. So when a conflict arises, the other partners cannot ease him out or cannot edge him out of the family business. So when others, like when 75% of the partners vote that he should be edged out without any value or without any kind of thing, no. And of course, as I said, there are so many problems that might arise when such a partner is not included. Equally important, there should be clear-cut provisions when it comes to the dividend distributions. There is a 10%, so that 10%, and this should not be used, of course, as a tool to exercise a pressure on the other partners. Equally important, also, either the heirs should not be forced to be partners or should leave, because in this case the families might come to a standstill or impassive for about like years and years. Equally important, I don't know what is a recommendation that the National Center can take this into consideration, and I believe that also it can play such a good role in reducing these problems. As I said, the compliance issue and other issues that can give rise, of course. Thank you so much. Your attention is highly appreciated. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Adli.
محاضرة رائعة جدا وعرض واقعي لامس الكثير من القضايا اللي فعلا تواجهها المنشآت.
On a lot of important points faced in family businesses, and he also gave us a legal perspective on them.
الآن راح نبدأ
we will begin with a panel discussion with Mr. Fawaz al-Attibi. Mr. Fawaz, he is a member of a family business and he has wide experience on family disputes and how they are resolved. Mr. Fawaz, what is your perspective on family disputes? Thank you, Dr. Dalal. First, peace, mercy, and blessings be upon you too. Dr. Adli, the examples you mentioned were as if you were our attorney, and when a person involves into legal issues, they will discover that they are almost the same in any company. They are normal and they happen again and again in different forms. The origin of the problems is when there is a partner or some partners with invisibility, so they use the tools available to them just to deliver their voice. Sometimes their voice or their idea can be good, or it can just be an attempt to have a role in having to have a role in the company. So as we have said before, Dr. Adli, from our suffering and experience, when someone suffers, they have hope and they have improvement. We have had a bad family problem. We went to court, and today I'm talking transparently. I'm talking openly, just for the sake of having the audience hear this discussion, and I hope they benefit from this. I hope if there are any things happening with someone hearing me, I have passed through this 5 years ago, and I would like those people having the same right now to go to people with experience and ask them for help. Me personally, I can help people. I can save them from developing and complicating things and going bankrupt or going to court and having issues with each other. So I just wanted to quickly talk. Yesterday we had a session with Dr. Rani Labaki and Dr. Basma Zamil, and they provided excellent examples on the research and the science behind and on family businesses. They had the session about dispute and the companies and how to resolve issues to make the company sustainable. Today, I would have wanted us to be more practical. I wanted to talk about when reviewing the course and when visiting the course and when talking to lawyers and to people working in the course, to notaries. I'm talking about a real problem here. I will talk about my own problem. Those problems caused the disputes between us. The main issue in the first place was that there was a general comprehensive power of attorney by the founder to one of his sons. That power of attorney, as you know, played an operational role. It was needed because this person needed to go to court, needed to go to the Ministry of Justice, to places. So that time, the power of attorney was used as the means to operate the company, but later, this power of attorney was used to represent the opinion of the majority, and the issue was that this is not the opinion of your father, but since your father is not here, you're just using your power of attorney to represent your father. We as a small family, the partnership was between two families. We were the second generation, and we had another private company in partnership between me and my brothers, and that's where we started to learn from our previous problems. And so in the beginning there was need for the power of attorney, and the solution later was
وكالة
not to
عامة
give the power of attorney to one person. Yes, I had a general power of attorney, but also at the same time my siblings had it. They did not use it, but it was just in their hand in case I make a wrong decision or I try to take a different turn, they can just have this tool in their hand to protect themselves. So this was also a guarantee and a safety tool
البنك عرف انه في 3 وكالات عامة قاعدة تستخدم ل3
for
اسباب.
them, and it was a security tool for the other partners. They would know that they have an alternative plan in case I just took things off rail. For me, that was a temporary solution, but the true solution and the best solution was to distribute the portion, to distribute the stocks on the siblings equally and fairly. After that, each person can represent their own share. The second issue that I saw was that the eldest son was given too much courtesy. There was no possibility that the eldest son would not be the chairman of the board of directors. That was undebatable. He was inevitably going to be the chairman. In smaller companies,
في الأخير إحنا لدينا يعني
in the end, we have service years, 5 years for each person that can be renewed to other 5. Now I'm in the 10th year. According to our system, I cannot have the 10 years except if all the partners see that I can be granted this additional 5 years, which happened in my case. And now I'm preparing the place for someone to come after me. At the time also, by the end of the 5 years, we did not build the company to be a one-man company or company with one-man show. That's why in the family, we had more than one person. They were all educated, trained, and ready. If those people are available and are ready to take their positions, and one of them sees that it's impossible for them to be in that position one day, they will make one of two options. Either they will start to disrupt the company and disturb it, or they will go look for another opportunity in another company. The solution we found was that we can just grant this 5 years limit for each position, so as to give an opportunity for other people to be in those positions. Also, the courtesy for the eldest son was one of our main problems in our dispute with our cousin's company. As we say, the eldest brother had the largest share, but in fact, it was the best to give him a fair salary with fair dividends. And this is what we adopted in my company, me and my siblings, that I can work in this company and I can take my dividend according to my role and according to my effort. This amount should be satisfactory to me. This is my own experience, and this is my
يعني المشكلة الحقيقية اللي فعلا يكون الخلاف عندها
real problem that we had. The area in which decisions are difficult to make is the area of accountability and responsibility. The room or the share by which the responsibility is divided between the people was not equal to the percentage of their shares. So that caused some people to not take care of the situation, because they did not bear responsibility as much as other people, so they would just delay work and they would just work not as effectively as they should because they did not have the supposed responsibility. That was the straw that brought the camels back. Then we needed to move. We needed to have as much responsibility as our share informs. If I have 20% shares, I can have 20% responsibility or liability. If we have 100% of the personal security, we should have 100% responsibility of the cases that happened. When we tried to say this, our cousins had a large problem with us, and those were the main issues that we had, and those are examples of how real problems happen. The size of each risk can cause the other party or the other person to act after they have been silent. In our company, we said that each thing or each demand by the bank should be proportionate to each person's share.
الصوت واضح دكتور عدلي، تسمع صوتي؟ دكتور عدلي؟ طيب تتفضل دكتور فواز، استاذ فواز كمل حديثك.
اي دكتور يمكن في 5 دقائق عندي بس بعض النصائح.
I just have 5 more minutes. I have 5 pieces of advice of things that I would do if I go back to the past. First, communication. Any conference of family businesses, any meeting of family businesses, state that once there is no communication, there is no company, there are no solutions. Communication can be done in either of 2 options. First, it can be done by meetings, whether business meetings or other kinds of meetings. We should have healthy communication channels, and we should know that conflicts can exist. The second kind of communication was communication during conflict, because people want to preserve their dignity and they want to keep their positions, but at least we say keep the communication channel open. We tried to have one of our other cousins who was not a partner. We talked to him about talking to the people with which we have a dispute to resolve the issue. He tried, he gathered us, but we did not reach an agreement. He said, okay, I gathered you and we didn't reach an agreement. I said, the goal is not to reach an agreement, the goal is just to communicate. This person, we wish he were an expert in reconciliation. He at the time, if he had that experience, he would have solved the problem. Now we see that we have the National Center for Family Businesses and we have the National Center for Arbitration. Those 2 centers can contribute to such issues being solved. The Dr. Adli has talked about the new system and how it would involve arbitration within companies' regulations. So communication is important, and communication should happen before and after dispute. It's very important during both stages because both parties want to conserve their dignity, but in the end, communication is inevitable and is essential. If there is a chance to invite those 2 parties each week, just to say, sit with each other, look at each other, don't talk, just keep this communication channel open. From this experience, I've also learned that There were other options, there were other solutions. We could have had an additional partner. We could have had a solution as to keep our shares while going away from the managemental positions. But at the time, we had ego. We said, no, I should keep my responsibility. I should keep my father's inheritance. I should do some things. Emotional things were controlling us. Here I'm talking about psychological ownership, that sometimes we feel that this is my family's my family's history. I should not sell this company. I should not do this and that. Dr. Dalal, the next point which we did in our company was that we did not wait to look at governance. Ever since the first day we were talking about governance, we tried to develop plans for governance. I'm not saying that our governance is ready and is existent and that we have our governance, but no, at least I'm saying we talked about it, we had it in mind, we had plans with my siblings to do the governance. If we have questions, go on and ask them. If we even me being the chairman and working for 10 years, I was saying those things. I was saying, talk to me, ask me the questions. We are employees in the company. Any partner can talk to the financial director and can ask what is Fawaz's salary this month. That was the policy we had. The people could ask the financial management for my salaries or for my dividends. That transparency we had gave the people the room to trust me. So when I buy a new car or when my wife buys a new bag, my sister or my sister-in-law does not come and ask, oh, how did you get this one? How did you bring the money and have the money for it? In my case, we were transparent. We had the people knowing how much money I have and knowing how much money I make, so that if I do anything, they just know that this is my money. It's given me by the company. It's my salary. It's my income. And you know how much it is. So it's my decision to make and to do whatever I want after I receive this money. Once I have received this money. In the company, when I'm held accountable within the company, I'm glad and I'm happy when my siblings ask me, why did you do this and that, and why did this and that happen within the company business? Why? Because if I am being the eldest brother, if I am given ultimate authority within the company and given the room to take whatever decisions I want to make without being held accountable, then chaos would exist. But having accountability and transparency is excellent. Another thing that I have learned, I don't want to talk too much, but I would say that I had an impression that the ministry or that the judicial system had a silver bullet to solve every problem. But in fact, as the lawyer, our lawyer told us that both parties are right. There is no good people and bad people. The second party or the other people are saying that they are the right people. They have the same position and they believe they are good. So good planning is the best thing to do. Those points are important to consider when having disputes. There is no silver bullet. There is no magic stick. Some problems are bigger than you and are more complicated than to be resolved with simplicity. So people listening to me, I would say, ask seek help from people with experience, academic experience, practical experience. Dr. Dalal, Dr. Al-Hanouf, for example, people working in your center, people with experience and expertise, people who have suffered problems and who have suffered loss. We should focus on success stories, yes, but at the same time, focusing on success stories is as important as focusing on failure stories. Yeah.
And later, of course, become like more conflicts in the new family business that have been established. That's true. This is, I'd like to thank you ever so much for Engineer Fawaz for your highly appreciated contribution for this this story that you already quoted and cited. And this is the expertise that he or she would share with others. And one more final note, these are like resounding words. This is based on my own experience and my expertise when it comes to the governance of the family businesses. Yes, it will be of great importance when the family business goes into adversary. Sorry. What I'm saying is, Dr. Ali, that you might agree with me that governance, when you are at your best, is far much better than when you are in adversary. So yes, true. When a family business goes into adversary, it is helpful, because no real governance unless otherwise you put into action. Yesterday or the day before, Muhammad Al-Aqil talked about governance. For him, what he did that does not work well for me, or does not go well with me. But you see, Jarir bookstore has been so successful. It's now being offered in the public offering. At the end of the day, it's an investment. So today, if you go attending, for example, in different events and forums, this is not a cost. This is a kind of investment that you invest in your abilities, expertise, because no one can imagine that someone will, like with a magic wand and wave it just like with the solutions being developed. No, of course, this will not happen overnight. You have to take all the facilities, all the expertise that you have to read, you have to ask, you have to get engaged. Then at the end of the day, you have to hybridize what you have in mind and put that into play. So I always say that governance at the level of the family business is good, but at the same time, it will not be helpful at this. Otherwise, you take this into your own family business and you contextualize it. So it is very important that a family business should have a governance. For example, the financial manager should have authorities of powers, and there should be committees and so on. It is not like the powers and authorities should not be confined in one person. And this is something that should be taken into consideration. I think that we talked about this at length, and yes, governance is, as I said, is a solution, because the volume of the family business grows by and by, and the public offering could be like, could be a good solution. And also we need to see whether the family business has good strategy or not, and we need to look into other family businesses. And we may take this into a different level, a higher level in terms of the professionalism. And Engineer Muhammad Al-Aqil talked the day before yesterday that public offering did help them, did support them, of course, whether in terms of commerce or in terms of the investments, because commercially speaking, they did benefit. They did make a lot of benefit, of course, and a lot of problems, conflicts and disputes, whether existent or potential, have been resolved and settled. This is what I have, Dr. Dalal, Dr. Adli as well. This is what I can say. You've been talking to us as if you were our own legal advisor or attorney. You cited different telling examples, been repeating, and we hope that people listening to us and watching us can well learn what have been said and what have been explained. Thank you very so much. Your attention is highly appreciated. Your contributions was highly appreciated. Thanks you also for the highly valued recommendations, insights. It is very important to communicate as early as possible. Governance is also very important to put into action as early as possible, and also the state the financial statements should be highly transparent, and this has been referred by Dr. Cudley based on the real down to earth realities. I have some questions coming from the public. Dr. Cudley, is there an ideal scenario that is down to earth for the family business across the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia? An example that is down to earth, a real example? You mean a model? Yeah, an ideal model for a family business. Yeah, there are different models for a family businesses. Well, in Saudi Arabia we have like dozens of thousands of family businesses. There are so many family businesses that have no problems, no conflicts, no disputes. I don't want to name any, some of which I have worked closely with. Some others, of course, adopted governance. Some, of course, have come to a high level of intellectual, and some others like can be, for example, a joint stock company like governance, or a board of directors that is based on governance. And for example, like there should be a list of authorities and powers for the responsibilities of, so that they can be held accountable, unless otherwise he or she can be the powers and authorities can be withdrawn from him or her. And also there should be a business plan that the partners should agree on, and also there should be a family council that is put into action. If we use these things, yes, there are so many family businesses that have taken this into action and they have adopted. There are other, of course, models that are referred to by Dr. Fawaz, such as, for example, public offering, particularly, for example, thankfully, of course, in the authority of finance, of money, of course, and they divided the companies in different categories or rankings. And I have seen so many family businesses of a small size or medium size that adopt this, because in order to adopt governance through the stock market and through, of course, governance, and consequently, of course, the family business still make progress. Great. I have one more question directed to Dr. Fawaz. How can I strike a balance between the family and the family business without interruptions made to the family? You refer to the fact that the communication channels should be open, but again, at the same time, can you provide with some piece of advice without me doing harm to my family members or family relations? Because sometimes you say that it's some points that are very sensitive that we don't have to talk about. While this is a good question, it's not easy to crack, but myself, I don't have to interfere into personal issues. Yeah, it's true. When, for example, when some people get into or interfere into other people's affairs, for example, when I come to my brother and say, like, for example, you are doing this and this and this and such and such. In this case, of course, things become like more sensitive. I have to distribute the dividends. In this case, of course, such dividends are taken or should be given to the partners. After that, of course, no powers, no authorities I can practice, exercise on my brothers. So I don't have to mix up between these issues, and I have to take the decisions to make the decisions that take the brothers or the sisters into a strategic pathway. And it is my sister, the oldest sister, who takes these decisions or makes these decisions. And so, and we don't have to put our cap. Yes, we don't have to take the cap. We don't have to mix up the brotherly and the sisterly relations and the business family relations. So this is something that we have to take into consideration, so that things cannot be like unbearably sensitive, and no one can assume to be as perfect as such. True. And they need to exercise, to practice more and more, and they need like to understand that in business something else, and while when it comes to the family-based relationships is different. And also to maintain the harmony and the cohesion and coherence. Also, Dr. Ali referred to the fact that the family members should get engaged more, such as like in journeys, to get to know more each other through meetings, brotherly and friendly gatherings. We are running out of time. The session has been so interesting and riveting. Dr. Adley, thanks ever so much for your own contributions to this great expertise and experience, long-term experience in the family business. Dr. Engineer Fawaz, equally, you are highly appreciated for your contributions, your expertise, your set of recommendations that you have already provided us with, and for the family business owners. I hope that everyone can make the best benefit of which, and everyone, we hope to take this into higher levels, higher steps. And as we said already, since we are now since now we're at our best, it is highly recommended that we need to put in governance into action, and before we come to troubles. Your attention is highly appreciated. If any one of you would like to add a little bit more. I have a little addition. Now, with the new corporate law, they added some provisions when it comes to the family business charter or law or constitution. Some families wouldn't adopt this or don't like it, or it's like more moral or ethical agreement, but the new corporate law said that it is good to refer this within the establishment agreement or law. So it is good to make a reference for this kind of family charter or constitution, unless otherwise I may refer to this explicitly, and later, of course, I can take it to higher stages and further explain it, because as I said, the constitutions of the family business can give it more strategic methodology. That's true. I do agree. I can say no more, and I cannot agree with you anymore, because the new corporate law has become very important and very supportive for the family businesses, and it is highly recommended that the family business should, of course, have a close look at this. Engineer Fawaz, I'd like to express my appreciation and gratitude to His Excellency, His Excellency Minister of Commerce and the Board of Directors of the National Center of the Family Businesses, Talal Al-Ajlan, Naeem Al-Sharab, all the people working, and also and the other team members working to organize. I'm very proud of this conference. We used to pay money to go abroad to listen up to the people of expertise. Now today, I did attend all the sessions. It is the same almost that what we used to do when we traveled abroad. Today, it is still here, available here. I'm very proud to have this in Saudi edition. Dr. Adley, thank you ever so much for your contributions. Your expertise is highly appreciated. Dr. Dalal, again, thank you ever so much. You have been such a great moderator, and I do know you well outside the conference. She has been working in the development of the family businesses. Again, thank you ever so much for invitation and to share my expertise with you. And I'm fully ready, of course, to render all help possible, all service possible. I have so many messages coming and flooding into my mobile. I am very honored, of course, to provide some answers too. And I'm ready also for any advisory services or consultancy, because at the end of the day, we can benefit from each other. And also,
شكرا لكم جميعا.
Again, I'd like to say thank you ever so much. Your attention is highly appreciated. Your efforts are highly appreciated. Thank you again, Engineer Fawaz, Dr. Ali, all participants, attendees. The final session of today's conference is such a great and highly rich sessions. Thank you ever so much. Thank you ever so much. Keep safe.